First, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with silver and officially weighing in at 115 pounds. He has an excellent professional record consisting of 41 victories, including 27 knockouts, with only 3 defeats and 2 world titles. From our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., here is the challenger, the former 2-time world champion, Mark Too Sharp Johnson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing burgundy trimmed with beige and officially weighing 115 pounds also. His professional record is superb. 26 victories without a loss, including 20 knockouts and 1 bout even. Damas y caballeros de los Mochis, Mexico, the undefeated WBO Junior Bantamweight Champion of the World, Fernando Cocholito Montiel.
La cadena. Gentlemen, I want a good clean fight. Caballeros, quiero una pelea limpio. Good luck to both of you. Buena suerte a los dos. Touch close. Toda la mano.
Mark Johnson says that if Montiel is a Sugar Ray Leonard-like fighter, he's going to have to fight like Marvin Hagler. This we got to see.
This has the making of being a very good fight. You know, earlier we were mentioning about Montiel coming from a fighting family. Also, Johnson himself, he comes from a family, I think he was a baby of the original fighters, and all of them in his family fought. He started the boxing when he was about 3 years old.
Mark Johnson's a big fan of the sport and has begun dabbling in expert commentary. He's worked a couple cards out in L.A. as an expert commentator and does a good job. But Mark's not quite ready to be talking for a living all the time.
Today,
go ahead.
Earlier today in the lobby at the hotel, I ran across his father, Ham Johnson, and Ham said that the 2 losses he lost to Rafael, in addition to Rafael Marquez being a good fighter, was a lot because of the weight. The fact that Marquez was 118-pounder when he fought, and that Mark is more comfortable back at 115 pounds. And in fact, he could have made 112 pounds for this fight, which could mean that he's in excellent condition.
Mark claimed it was the first time he'd ever made the weight the week before the fight.
Well, I think he realizes that his whole career is on the line in this fight, so he's going to fight one of the greatest fights of his life.
And there's a Hagler-like rush as he goes inside and starts going to the Montiel body right away. Mark Johnson living up to his pledge to try to get some pressure on Fernando Montiel.
Well, another way he put it was to say, I may have to be the Mexican in this fight. Meaning that normally he was a flashy boxer, but he is now the aggressor.
Seemingly Montiel is having a lot of problems right now adjusting to Johnson. Johnson seems to be more comfortable as the fight is moving at this stage.
Right. Well, of course, Johnson, in addition to everything else, is a southpaw. Montiel surely has experience in the past against southpaws, but it's always something of an adjustment, and now Johnson showing you that he's loose and warmed up in there.
I don't remember the last time I've seen a fighter wear trunks as short as Montiel's old-fashioned boxing trunks.
Oscar likes to wear his trunks short like that. Watch Oscar De La Hoya next fight. He likes them short. He likes to dress like the old timers.
Yeah, you're right, Emilio.
Yeah.
I have a short memory, apparently.
With a short trunk.
George Foreman wore short trunks the night he knocked out Michael Moore in 1994. Of course, that was because he was wearing the same trunks he had worn in the jungle 20 years before. Well, now Montiel's showboating, asked Johnson to hit him in the chin.
But that's how Montiel has did this round. He's did nothing effective.
Yeah, well, we know they can both dance.
Yeah.
Let's see them fight.
And after Montiel motioned to his chin, Mark Johnson leaned in, gave him a good body shot.
And Mark is winning the fight, from my opinion, at this stage. He's doing more fighting.
You demonstrated that you're better than hands. Take advantage and box this guy. Use a straight right hand. Come on. Yeah, you were doing okay. Yeah, you listen to me.
Listen to Mark. You only doing things. You got to watch your jab. Okay. You're faster than me. And Mark. You take your shoulders, Mark. I won't need it. You got your shoulders, 2 and 3 jabs. More than one jab. Come on. Cut the man off. Come on. You can do this. Come on. Side to side. Mark, the man is scared to death. Okay.
Mark, the man is scared to death. In round one, Montiel, 8 out of 27 by CompuBox numbers. Johnson, 4 out of 26. Johnson missing on all 14 of his jabs, according to CompuBox. 53 total punches thrown by the two fighters, lots of dancing. And even though the CompuBox numbers favored Montiel, most of us at ringside, to our eyes, seem to feel Johnson was the aggressor in round one.
Yes.
One of the difficulties Montiel may be having is that, unusual for a boxer, he really likes to bang to the body, and he doesn't see that opening here against the southpaw.
No, southpaw, the angle and position of the body makes it very difficult to land effective body punches, particularly the left hook to the body, which is one of the favorite fighters of a lot of the Mexican fighters.
Johnson still short with his jab, but Montiel staying at a distance. And Johnson's perfectly content to look at him from out there.
Certainly, Too Sharp Johnson, for a moment anyway, turned conventional from his southpaw stance. Nothing happened.
No one has established any dominance yet. But I think after the next round or two, I think both corners are going to probably tell their guys to step it up, because no one has really got any control.
Nobody's done anything yet, and you got two father trainers here. So this will be a test to see which father trainer can help his son solve the puzzle faster.
Yeah, I think it's going to get a little wild and woolly in the next couple of rounds.
Maybe the fathers will fight.
You're locking his arm and you're hitting him.
Michael Ortega,
let it go.
warning Mark Johnson for holding and hitting.
In 2 of his last 3 fights, Johnson was penalized a total of 4 points, 4 holding on most of the occasions, and it probably cost him the first fight against Marquez.
He actually was computed as the winner in the first fight against Marquez in Corpus Christi, October of 2001, and for 90 minutes thought he had won the fight. Then they retotaled the scores and discovered they'd been way off, and that in fact it was Marquez who had won the fight. And Johnson graciously opened his locker room, gave the belt back, said okay, take it to him.
Gave him a rematch and got knocked out.
That's really been over the gracious.
Big left hook of the fight landed by Montiel, and that seems to relax him just a little bit. August 21 on HBO Latino. Tune in for the next. Oscar De La Hoya Presenta Boxeo de Oro featuring Jose Navarro. If you haven't seen him, you ought to watch. Stylish young fighter. September 13 on HBO pay-per-view. Rematch between Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley. And then September 27, a triple header of heavyweights called The Next Generation. Take to the ring in Buffalo. On the card, hometown favorite Joe Macy will fight DeBarrel Touch of Sleep Williamson.
Good fight.
Called Touch of Sleep because his big right hand has induced sleep for some of his opponents.
Most of his opponents. Almost all of his opponents.
Wait for the right time to use the right timing.
I think both guys realize that they're not going to win this fight by outspeeding each other because the speed is so close that they're going to have to stay down and start fighting.
Not much of an offensive fight so far. Johnson's only thrown 66 punches in 2 rounds. Montiel's only thrown 48, averaging only 24 punches per round. Montiel seems thoroughly thrown off by the southpaw stance of Mark Johnson.
And the speed. He's probably not used to this type of speed. In addition to the southpaw position.
Little right hand lands inside for Johnson. At this point, you look for anything that scores. Montiel's not going to win many fans fighting this way.
Well, and if he may not win a fight fighting this way neither. Mark seems to be very comfortable right now as the fight is progressing. I seem to see a little uncomfortable look on Montiel's face.
Montiel wants to get in range, but he needs Johnson to come closer to do it. That means Mark controls the tempo of the fight. Montiel reaching to get a left to the body. Now the left hook lands as Johnson leans in. Three fights ago, Montiel won his version of the 115-pound World Championship with a 6th-round TKO of a fighter named Pedro Alcazar in Las Vegas. Alcazar from Panama died a day and a half later in an incident so freaky that medical examiners still aren't exactly certain what it was that could have prompted Alcazar's death, given that ring death normally doesn't occur in a delayed fashion, and Alcazar was fine after the fight, was fine on the Sunday following the fight, then suffered brain swelling on Monday. Montiel does not seem to have been adversely affected by Alcazar's death, as some fighters are when they face the specter of ring death for an opponent.
Yes, he seems to have recuperated from it. It hasn't bothered him at all.
Well, he said it did bother him for a good long while, but he's certainly not the only outstanding fighter who has had that mark on his record.
He seems to be boxing much better now. He seems to be getting more comfortable with the style.
Yeah, but he better start winning some rounds soon.
Not much is happening in the fight, but of those things that are happening, more good ones happening to Mark Johnson so far than to Fernando Montiel.
I want you to start throwing your jab, jab, jab. And we're going to start putting more pressure on now, okay? He moved back on you. The only thing you needed was to put your right hand in there. You almost get him.
They say that speed kills in boxing. Right now, it's killing us.